Drifting in the outer Sol system, the recently resurfaced Zariman beckons attention. A haunting song emanates from the colossal vessel, luring the Corpus and Grineer who seek to exploit its hidden artifacts. At the same time, the Lotus calls upon the Tenno to reclaim their rightful home. Upon arrival, the Tenno quickly recognizes the extent of the void corruption infesting the Zariman. The eerie melody drowns out his connection to the Lotus, severing their guidance. While the Grineer and Corpus scour the wreckage for relics of power, an unknown entity emerges, the undeniable source of the song. Towering above them, the being appears entirely composed of corrupted void energy. In an instant, it attacks, overpowering the Tenno and knocking them unconscious. Moments later, the Tenno awakens in a secure chamber, greeted by the Holdfasts, the last surviving crew of the Zariman. Their forms are ghost-like, brought back from death through the void's enigmatic properties. They reveal that the creature is a void angel, a former crew member who succumbed to the void song, another terrifying manifestation. To preserve what remains of the ship, the Holdfasts request the Tenno's aid in purging exolizers of volatile void energy, devices vital to maintaining what little stability the Zariman still has. After the task is completed, Quinn, the leader of the Holdfasts, warns that the song is growing stronger. As the corruption spreads, he fears they too will eventually succumb, transforming into void angels themselves. As the Tenno assists the Holdfasts, they receive an urgent call to defend the Zariman's reliquary drive, its core mechanism, now under siege by the Grineer. Their reckless interference accelerates the corruption, further attracting void angels. Amid the battle, Quinn speaks of the Zariman's past, a beacon of hope once meant to carry humanity to a brighter future. Moved by this, the Tenno vows to protect the ship, their lost home should the Holdfasts fail to survive the conflict. After repelling the assault, the void angel Kira emerges, her form radiating raw power. She proves a formidable adversary capable of forcing the Tenno out of their Warframe entirely. Injured but determined, the Tenno retaliates, dealing enough damage to force Kira to retreat into her personal pocket realm, a distorted domain shaped by the void. Within this realm, the Tenno dismantles Kira's defenses before ejecting back into normal space, allowing them to deliver the final blow. Though victorious, Quinn grimly announces that their time has run out. Unable to resist the void's pull any longer, he and the Holdfasts prepare for the inevitable, asking only to be remembered. As the song fades, the Lotus re-establishes her connection, learning of the Tenno's struggle within the Zariman. Yet, in a surprising twist, the Holdfasts survive. Having once been tethered to the reliquary drive, they are now linked instead to the Tenno's own radiant void energy. Though freed from corruption, danger remains. The void angels, along with the remnants of the Grineer corpus and various void manifestations, continue to threaten the Zariman. The fight to protect the ship is far from over. To honor Kira, the Tenno and the Holdfasts construct a memorial in her name, vowing to defend the Zariman from future incursions. At the end of the new war, Ballas unleashed vast amounts of void energy, inadvertently strengthening the man in the wall's influence over regular space. With the sentient threat now largely contained, an entirely new threat emerges. Cephalon Lloyd summons the Tenno back to the Necrolisk on Deimos, revealing a long-buried precept within his mind. With its activation, a previously inaccessible section of the station is unveiled, as a cosmic clock collapses to reveal the entrance. Beyond it lies a vast underground complex, Albrecht's laboratories, where towering humanoid vessels stand in eerie silence. As the Tenno ventures deeper, their mission becomes clear: to awaken the sleeper. Along the way, they recover a grimoire, an ancient book capable of channeling mysterious void energies into devastating projectiles. Suddenly, the path is interrupted by a chilling presence. The man in the wall appears in the form of the operator, staring unmoving at the wall. As they pass the figure, the walls violently tear open, unveiling a nightmarish expanse. From this abyss, a new enemy emerges, the Murmur. The Murmur are horrifying extensions of the man in the wall, composed of shifting geometric rock formations with countless hands, feet, and eyes. Their most terrifying trait is their ability to merge, forming colossal, more complex versions of themselves. Each fusion enhances their physical strength, intelligence, and grants them entirely new abilities. Boundless in their destructive potential, these creatures seem to have no limit to the horrors they can become. From within the walls of the laboratory, the endless bounds of the Murmur's rocky, sand-swept depths extend beyond the horizon. The void has breached into the laboratories and cannot be allowed to reach further. Pressing forward, the Tenno faces the fragmented tide, an exceptionally powerful Murmur variant. After an intense battle, they discover a cryopod, from which the faint sound of a pager emanates. Inside, the real Lloyd awakens. Together, they return to the main laboratories, the Sanctum Anatomica, safeguarded by ancient wards and barriers. While Lloyd reactivates the station's old equipment, the Tenno encounters the Cavia, three creatures Albrecht once experimented on. Fibonacci the fish, Tagfair the deer-like being, and Bird 3, a tropical avian hybrid. They attempt to communicate in Void tongue, though their words remain incomprehensible. Lloyd sends the Tenno deeper into the laboratories to recover vital machinery, a mission critical to preventing further catastrophe. With the retrieved components, an old terminal flickers to life, transmitting a recorded message from Albrecht himself. In the recording, he explains the truth behind his work. Lloyd was tasked with sending him back in time in an effort to distract the man in the wall, drawing its attention away from the present. Embedded within the transmission, the Tenno uncovers the blueprint for a Yahoo gargoyle, an intricate statue combining all three cavia. When the time is right, they are instructed to seek Albrecht in the year 1999. As the statue is completed and activated, the Tenno gains the ability to comprehend Void tongue, revealing that the cavia are highly intelligent, emotional beings. Fibonacci explains that to complete the Kalamos sequence, the missing page of the grimoire must be found. With his assistance, the Tenno ventures deeper into the ruins, eventually locating the final page. Before they can escape, the Murmur launch an all-out assault on the Sanctum Anatomica. As the battle intensifies, the Tenno connects the completed grimoire to the Yahoo gargoyle, granting them the power to face the newly formed Fragmented One, an even more dangerous Murmur fusion. Within the lost page, a hidden revelation emerges. Albrecht's heartfelt words of admiration for Lloyd, his unspoken love. After defeating the Fragmented One, a void-possessed vessel awakens, forcefully expelling the Tenno from his warframe. In a desperate moment, just before being crushed, they manage to transfer into a second vessel, one that mirrors the corrupted entity. Rather than attacking, the Tenno reaches out, forging an emotional connection, an act of compassion that pacifies the void-possessed being. Even in the abyss of the void, it seems emotion and love holds power. The vessels freeze in place. The Murmur stop their attack, and the Sanctum seems to be secure again. Lloyd, witnessing this extraordinary event, is now more determined than ever to complete the sequence. Though the Murmur's greatest assault has been repelled, their threat never ceases. Together, Lloyd and the Cavia stand guard over the laboratories, preparing for the final step, sending the Tenno after Albrecht, waiting for him in the past. Before vanishing, the man in the wall appears far outside the laboratories with the void version of Albrecht. He picks a lotus flower's petals, setting his sight on the Tenno's guide. He mentions the betrayal by the Tenno, not upholding their end of the deal before crushing the flower in his hand. With the Murmur's primary assault on the Sanctum Anatomica repelled, deeper incursions into the voidscape and concealed safes are now underway. Progress toward reaching Albrecht in the past steadily advances. Beyond the frozen vessels, the void abyss stretches endlessly, its landscape littered with immeasurable gaping mouths. Amidst the silence, the Lotus contemplates the rhythmic chime of a pager, waiting for the Tenno's arrival. When they appear, both the Drifter and the operator standing before her, she confesses that the man in the wall's presence is growing stronger, pulling her ever closer. She urges the Drifter to answer the pager's call, which abruptly transports him to an abandoned mall. There he encounters Albrecht's Kavat, Kalamos, who guides him to another ringing pager. Upon answering it, the drifter is drawn back to the Lotus, who explains that his brief journey has forged a crucial link to the past. Now, they must find Albrecht before the man in the wall does. Before the drifter can embark on his journey to the past, he must first aid the stalker. Deep within his concealed lair on Uranus, the stalker harbors a secret, one so deeply guarded that he refuses to share it, even in dire need. Hanhao berates him for hiding Jade, a Warframe, on the brink of death. Before the old war, Jade was the stalker's wife. While he is likely a human permanently linked to a Warframe through transference, Jade's fate was far crueler. She was forcibly transformed into a Warframe by the Orokin as punishment, similar to Umbra, likely for the forbidden relationship she shared with the Stalker. During the collapse of the Orokin Empire, the Stalker served as a low guardian. While Jade, defying her circumstances, protected him, she wields the Jade Light, a formidable form of energy capable of disintegrating its target in an instant. The Orokin kept her in stasis, only releasing her when she was needed to enact executions for those deemed deserving. Yet despite her lethal power, she also possessed the ability to heal, enveloping others in protective energy. In the lair, she calls out the Stalker's true name, Soren, compelling him to check on her worsening condition. No clear cause is visible, but something is draining her very life essence. Hanhao urges him to seek help from the Tenno, who possess an intrinsic understanding of the nature of Warframes. But Soren refuses. Instead, he infiltrates a Corpus ship, stealing bioplasma in a desperate attempt to save her, inadvertently drawing the Corpus's attention to himself, namely that of Captain Zeto. When he administers the bioplasma, Jade writhes in pain, his efforts only worsening her condition. Realizing Hanhao was right, Soren seeks out the Tenno, who advise him to use cortichrome, the base material of Warframes. Together, they hunt a juggernaut, a powerful infested creature, to harvest the substance. However, the Corpus remain hot on his trail, ambushing him upon his return to the lair. Though Soren swiftly dispatches the crew and rushes back to Jade's side. The operator links with her, sensing she is nearly out of time. In that moment, Jade reveals something shocking. She is pregnant, likely since she was turned into a Warframe, and the infant is the source of her dwindling energy. They apply the cortichrome, but it is too late. As Soren grows increasingly desperate, Jade reaches for his hand. In their final embrace, she disintegrates into a radiant green wave of energy, leaving behind their newborn son. The child inherits Jade's light, a portion of which transfers to Soren, enveloping him in her luminous life force. But the Corpus reinforcements arrive, led by Captain Zeto. She believes to have made a significant discovery and alarms Parvos Granum's right hand herself, Vala Glarios, to witness the ensuing battle. Cradling his son, now infused with the Jade Light, Soren fights his way to the surface. Upon breaching the depths of the ocean, he encounters an elite squad of Corpus crewmen. They open fire, barely held at bay by Soren's fading strength. Yet when Zeto hears the faint cries of the infant, she orders a ceasefire. Moved by the impossible sight before her, she allows Soren to pass unchallenged. He does not retaliate. Carrying his son, he boards his ship, leaving behind the lair, now illuminated by Jade's essence in the form of tiny motes. As Hanhao entrusts the synthesized blueprint of Jade's Warframe to the operator, he solemnly remarks that Jade would have wanted this. And so, Soren vanishes into the unknown. The Corpus breach the lair and harvest the traces of the Jade Light, empowering their Eximus units with its properties. The time has come for the Drifter to leap back in time, tracing the steps of Albrecht Intrati before the man in the wall can reach him. Lloyd's preparations are complete, ensuring stable time travel via the vessels and the linked pager through their void connection. Their destination, Hulvania, 1999, where Albrecht's influence has already set deep roots. In 997, the government delved into genetic engineering, primarily for weapon development. But their secret cloning project had another purpose: revolutionizing the entertainment industry through the world-famous boy band Online. The plan, however, spiraled into catastrophe. The experiments birthed an outbreak, the precursor to the infestation, Techrote. Unlike its future counterpart, which initially thrived on organic matter, Tekrot had an affinity for machines. It consumed code, corrupted software, and twisted technology to its will, though its ability to infect flesh was weaker. It festered underground, slowly infesting the still inhabited city from within. In response, the government deployed the Skaldra, a ruthless military force specializing in Tekrot extermination. Armed with highly corrosive effavon, they purged the streets, forcing the infection underground. Leading the charge was Major Nessie Rusalka, who imposed martial law and mass quarantines. Albrecht arrived in Hulvania in 1998 under the alias Dr. Friday. His supposed miracle drug offered temporary relief but also turned recipients into silent carriers, accelerating the virus's spread. As mutations strengthened Tekrot beyond control, Albrecht introduced the Helminth virus. Few survived the treatment, but those who did became proto-frames, hybrids wielding Warframe-like abilities yet retaining their minds. These survivors, now known as the Hex, blamed Albrecht for the devastation and for their transformation into part-mutated beings. They also uncovered Skaldra's dark dealings, deploying Tekrot as a tool to clear settlements, masquerading as saviors. With Hulvania completely locked down, a three-way war raged between the Skaldra, Tekrot, and Proto-frames. Amidst the chaos, their mission was clear: find Albrecht. On December 31, 1999, the city's nuclear reactor erupted. Yet with Albrecht's interference and the Drifter's arrival, time rewound by 24 hours. Arthur James Nightingale, leader of the Hex, received Albrecht's cryptic invitation on a mall computer. Joined by Amir, Aoi, Quincy, Letitia, and his sister Eleanor, the group set out on their atomocycles to track him down. Rusalka ambushed Arthur on the streets. Though she retreated, Arthur easily dispatched Skaldra forces. The battle intensified when an effavon tank rolled in, transforming the fight into a brutal struggle. Destroying it, he watched the ground collapse, revealing Tekrot-infested wreckage. Eleanor's telepathy guided him deeper toward Albrecht's location. In the infested sewers, a giant maw regurgitated a fully formed Excalibur Warframe, locking Arthur into a violent clash. The Drifter had been traveling through this Warframe itself, attempting to infiltrate Arthur's mind. Arthur rejected the intrusion, forcing the Drifter out before stabbing his hand and dragging him into the mall. 20 hours before the nuclear disaster, Skaldra captured Albrecht, subjecting him to interrogation by Rusalka and her lieutenant, Viktor Vodianoy. It was then revealed Rusalka was possessed by the man in the wall, shifting forms to torment him. Albrecht mentioned the Indifference's one vulnerability: love. In the mall, the Hex interrogated the Drifter, but ultimately gave him a chance to prove his worth. Together, they plotted Albrecht's rescue after Skaldra announced his capture. Battling their way through enemies, the Drifter arrived at the holding cell, only to be greeted by the eerie grin of the Indifference before it vanished. Back at the mall, Kalemos led the Drifter to a back room, revealing a fully stocked arsenal reminiscent of the future. On a nearby computer, he uncovered a recorded message from Albrecht. The truth became clear: they were both trapped in a warped time loop. To break free and hold back the invading murmur, they needed an immense energy surge, the nuclear explosion itself. Out on the streets, Amir and Aoi located Albrecht held in a convoy. The Drifter rushed in to intervene, obliterating Skaldra forces. In the chaos, Rusalka crashed her truck, injuring herself but leaving Albrecht unharmed. He explained that in this loop, the man in the wall continually possesses Rusalka. To sever its grip, she had to die. The Drifter refused. Furious, Albrecht lashed out, until the Indifference suddenly recovered. Its power surged, whisking both Albrecht and the Drifter away. The Drifter awakes in a vision of the Zariman, where the Indifference reveals a terrifying prophecy. Every member of the Hex was doomed to die. Moments later, returning to the mall, the Drifter shared Albrecht's warning with the Hex. Determined to prevent the explosion, they set out. And then, just as predicted, the slaughter unfolded. Eleanor, alongside Letitia, manipulated the Tekrot to divert Skaldra's forces, but fell to the lure of the infestation's control, attacking Letitia as one of the infected. Amir, Arthur, and Aoi held the line while Quincy provided sniper support, until an enemy tank spotted him and obliterated him. At the nuclear facility, Amir struggled to hack the reactor, loosening the locks Aoi desperately secured with her telekinetic abilities. She perished, overwhelmed by exertion. Arthur, battling a monstrous techrote deep within the core, watched Entrati appear, executing Amir before he himself succumbed to fatal radiation exposure. The Drifter confronted Entrati, pleading that they could save them. Albrecht explains that he can only save them if he truly knows and understands them. He declares his departure for the Tau system and shoots the Drifter before vanishing. Before collapsing, the Drifter harnessed Duviri's power, resetting the time loop once more. Inside the loop, Lloyd made contact. Duviri's reset had extended the loop to a full year. This granted the Drifter precious time to forge deeper bonds with the Hex. Strengthening their resolve, mastering their abilities, and fortifying their mission, they worked tirelessly to prevent the nuclear catastrophe. As the cycle continues, the Hex use their knowledge to fight back against the outbreak and protect Hulvania's remaining civilians. The Drifter gained full control over his place in time, entering and exiting the loop freely. With Albrecht's grand scheme crumbling, as the indifference had even followed him back in time, he fled into the unknown. Meanwhile, Rusalka, still remains at large. Yet amidst the ongoing battle, new proto-frames joined the Hex, steadily transforming their faction into a safe haven for those trapped in the war. After the indifference terrorized Duviri, every action thus far seems to lead us to the sentient homeworld, to the Tau system. Dear listener, this marks the end. Until further notable escalations are recorded for me to process, feel free to re-listen to previous segments. Farewell and good luck on the journey ahead.
All those possibilities. And yet, the story only ends one way.